What's up, everybody? This is Ahmed with A. Roberson Photo, A. Roberson Media, and today I have another Photoshop quick tip tutorial for you. Let's jump inside Photoshop and get right to it. What's up, everybody? This is Ahmed with A. Roberson Photo, A. Roberson Media, and for this Photoshop quick tip tutorial, we're going to jump into how to select an overexposed image, how to select a subject from an overexposed image. And the subject that I'm talking about is this spoon, honeycomb type spoon, or just a spoon with a very harsh reflection on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to try a couple of pre-installed methods to extract and see if they work. And then if they don't work to our liking, we're going to use a method that I like to use. So the very first method we're going to try is, well, let's go through a couple. First, we're going to try the quick selection tool. And with the quick selection tool, of course, you drag around the subject to be selected. And I mean, as expected, because this is overblown, overexposed, it will select anything white, right? Even if you try to hold Alt and turn the plus to minus, or your selection to minus to deselect, you still have to kind of go through it and fine tune it slowly, hoping that you'll be able to make a good selection here. And I mean, it could work. It could be time consuming. I mean, imagine if you had a bunch of these to do. It could be pretty time consuming, right? And this is not what we want. We want to be as fast and as proficient as possible in Photoshop. So what I want to do is we're going to hit Control D to deselect that. And we're going to try another method. If we click and hold, we have the object selection tool. If you don't have the object selection tool in your toolbox already, if you go to Edit and Toolbar, you'll see sometimes it might be where the extra tools is here. If it is there, all you have to do is drag it and hold it into that selection and select done, and you're good to go. And I've already done that. Every time Photoshop updates mine, it seems that it always takes that object selection tool out and puts it back over in that extra tool section. So if you experience that like I do, just remember, hit Edit, Toolbar, and then you'll have the extra tools there. You can drag them to where you see fit. So anyway, the next tool we want to try is, well, let's go ahead and try the object selection tool. It's a pretty good tool. It's been pretty successful so far. I mean, I've used it on a couple of occasions, but let's see how it does in this instance. We're going to try to stay as close as possible to the bottom of the spoon and the tip of the spoon, and let's see what it does. Pretty much kind of similar to the quick selection tool. So what we can do is, it's a couple of things we can do from here. We can go to the lasso tool and we can actually draw and try to do it like that. But you know, that not that time consuming until you have to start refining your lines and taking more time. And again, it does take some time. So we hit Control D to get rid of that selection, and we're going to try another method. Let's try select subject. Select subject up in the Photoshop 2020. I don't think it was there. Well, it might have been there in the 2019 version of Photoshop, but I'm using Photoshop 2020, Photoshop CC 2020 rather. And using this select subject usually works pretty good. But again, this is an overexposed image on a white background, so of course it's going to be difficult, right? And we end up with the same type of results, which we would then probably have to go to our lasso tool and start again refining our selection. But we're going to hit Control D and we're going to get out of that, and we're going to try, let's try select and mask. Select and mask by default goes to the onion skin. We can increase or decrease the transparency to see what we're trying to select. We have other options, overlay. Then that way you can see what you want to select with the overlay. You can make the overlay super dark or very transparent. Same thing with the black background, so on and so forth. So let's go to the default onion skin, and we're going to leave it at 25% just so we can see what we're actually trying to extract. And we're going to try to make our selection and see if Photoshop's AI again can try to help us extract this from the background. But as expected, just like with the other tools, it didn't work out too great. If we hit Alt, again, we can go from selecting to deselecting by holding Alt on a PC. I guess it would be Option on a Mac, maybe? I'm sorry, I'm not a Mac guy, I'm a PC guy. So, but if I hold Alt on my PC and try to deselect, it's doing a pretty decent job. I mean, Adobe Photoshop AI is pretty intelligent software, and it does a pretty good job, but it can be time consuming. The problem here though is, just say if we increase the opacity with the onion skin, we can see what was missing. If we hold Alt, we can get rid of some of that. And the next step would be to either put it on overlay, or let's actually go on black and turn the background up even more. Now if we try to, well, let's hit Alt and get rid of that. If we try to use the refine tool and try to go over this, I mean, I'm already shaking my head because I'm already anticipating it not working well. And as anticipated, it did not, because this is just a difficult image. And this is not to show Photoshop shortcomings, because Photoshop is the tool of all tools when it comes to photo design, photo editing, at least in my opinion. But this is what I like to do. What I like to do in a situation like this with an overexposed, overblown image is, what I want to do is I want to select levels. And when I select the levels, I want to bring the blacks up, the darks up as much as I can, because what that's going to do is actually going to help define the spoon here and eliminate some of that background. You don't want to go too far, but you want to go far enough. Oh, well, before we go here, let's go back one more. I want to try one more trick. Let's get rid of that and hit yes. Somebody may be thinking, what about trying threshold? And I tried threshold with that, but even with the threshold, if we go all the way to the blacks, try to get, it's just not there. It's just not working. And I've tried channels with the RGB. Well, let's just go ahead and do it now. It can't hurt to do it really quickly. So if we turn off all the channels and we're left with the blue channel, I mean, it's okay. We can see some of that. What are you supposed to do? I think you make a copy of the blue channel, and we want to now try threshold. I think that's what we do, right? Same thing, the same issue. I mean, yeah, it's bringing up some of the spoon, but it's just not conducive to a good workflow to me. It just doesn't work for me. But getting back to my option, what I like to use is I like to go to levels, and I like to take the blacks all the way down before it gets too far. I mean, it will vary per image depending on whatever image, how exposed it is or isn't. But if we bring it down, bring the levels down to the blacks as deep as we possibly can, now what we can do is we can actually use our quick selection tool, and we can actually select the actual spoon instead of the levels layer. Select the spoon, and we can try again to make our selections. Now, when we're doing this, it doesn't automatically just start to grab the background here. It doesn't start to grab the background. It's actually holding on to the more contrasty areas of the spoon, so we can actually make a better selection. Again, it's not perfect, but this is what I like to do to help speed up my workflow. I mean, look at that. We're that much closer. If we go over, we can hit Alt and get rid of some of that. But also what I like to do is, if we go down just a little bit more, let's find the sweet spot right here. Now what we can do is we can do this in conjunction with the pen tool, or we can actually do it, I'll show you another way after we try with the pen tool. And this is just a quick rough selection with the pen tool, just showing that I'm actually able to get a lot of this. Let's go back there, hit Alt. A lot of this spoon selected in a relatively quick manner. I mean, yeah, it's not absolutely perfect, but we're gonna right click, make selection, add to selection, and boom, there goes our spoon. If we hit the Q quick mask, we can see where we are. But along with the quick mask, if you hit the brush tool at 100%, you can actually paint in what you don't want. We're going to get rid of some of this spoon or the background that we don't want by painting in over the areas that came out that we didn't want in our selection. Some of this got in there. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. And let's try to, as smooth as I can in this quick selection, I'm going to try to go over the areas of the spoon we want to keep. Just get that fine line. And of course you can spend as much time as you find necessary to make a better selection for yourself, but just quickly I wanted to show you this. So now that I have my selection good enough for the most part, now just hit Q to get rid of your quick mask. And what you can do now is select on the levels layer that you created, and you can just go ahead and delete that, or well, drag it into the trash can. Oh, where'd it go? There we go. Oops, sorry, rookie mistake. Let me go ahead and turn that level off. There we go. And now we're gonna go back to our actual layer that we were working on, hit Control J to give us our extraction. And now we can actually get rid of the levels layer. So now, if we turn the background off, you see we have the spoon. We can go ahead and add a solid color background just to see what we have. We can make the solid background any color we want, just to show that we actually did extract the spoon from this overblown image. So if you hold Alt again on a PC and select the uppermost layer, which is the actual spoon, and then hold Alt and hit the eye at the bottom, you see the before and after, before and after. For a quick, rough selection, I think it came out pretty good. I mean, again, if you spent more time and refined the selection as best as you see fit for your work, whatever work that you're doing, of course you can make it that much more perfect. But just for the sake of this tutorial, I just wanted to show you what method I use in order to make a difficult selection on an overblown, overexposed background. So just a quick recap. All you have to do is make a levels layer, turn the levels down as deep as you can, get the blacks down as deep as you can without losing your actual subject into the blacks, and then you can start your selection with either the selection tool, the quick selection tool, select subject tool, and you want to do that on, you can do that on the actual layer itself, not the actual levels layer, because there's nothing there to extract, there's no data to extract. But if you go to the actual layer itself, even though the levels is above it, you go to the layers, it'll actually be able to see what it's trying to extract from the background because you made everything around it dark. So I hope that was a good, helpful, quick tip for you. And if so, please give me a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. Let me know if you actually benefited from this trick. And please consider subscribing. And I'll see you in the next video.